All right, welcome to another episode of The Beard and the Bookie. Here I am, the Bookie. I am Dan, as always. The beard right there in all his beardness is Josh. Eventually, the stash Chico will show up. He'll do his usual like he does daily. He'll pop in at some point. Yeah,
Will contribute nothing, but will show up.
yeah.
Steals my jokes. It's fine.
He's a face. It's just a face to put there.
He's a pretty man. That's why we keep him.
Yeah, pretty much. So, we'll start with MMA because Chico's no contribution to MMA, so you and I can fill this up. And let's start with Khabib because you and I have talked about this, and I find this while the road leads to nowhere, I still find this amusing because obviously Gaethje, after he beat Chandler, came out and he feels he's next in line for a light heavyweight title shot. All that stuff has been pretty laid out. Khabib decided to interject, and Khabib said, in your last 8 fights, you got finished 3 times. You had an opportunity to become a champion, but you fell asleep. Islam is on a 9-win streak, 3 fights in 2021, and all finishes. Shut up and admit Islam deserves the title shot, not you.
He's not wrong. Islam has a... Oh,
Gaethje clapped back and brought up the promotion that a good chunk of those 9 wins that Islam has comes from, which Khabib said, okay, I'll give you that. However, 9-win fight streaks are 9-win fight streaks no matter where you're coming from. Show me somebody else who's got a 9-fight win streak and isn't in line for a title.
Tony Ferguson for like 5 years.
Well, Tony's got his own issues.
That's true. I mean, he doesn't have it anymore, but he did for a very long time. So did Max Holloway. So, I mean, there's been times where you've seen these guys with super long win streaks not have the ability or not get that title shot.
I feel like Khabib is just now like building his super soldiers. Like he's just bringing in guys for each division and saying, go take it over.
I mean, Khabib just wants somebody to get on his level, and he's not going to fight Islam, so that's not going to happen. And I mean, this is why he left. He's like, who do I have to beat? There's no one there for him really anymore. It's just one of those where it's, I held it. I know what it is. You're going to come out and complain, calling for a title shot, but the guy that I train with is on a streak very similar to the one that I was on, and you're not going to give him any credit for it. Now, granted, they're both wrong because Dustin Poirier is the clear number 1 right now. Gaethje is still kind of in that 2-3 area. He could get there, but Islam Makhachev is at 4. He's ranked 4th. So why not wait for how Poirier Oliveira shakes out, put Justin Gaethje up against Islam Makhachev, see who wins that fight, and then there's your new number 1. That's how we fix all of this.
I was going to say, assuming that Poirier gets the title fight, then just on the same card as your co-main or just somewhere in the main, have the Islam Gaethje fight. Boom, done. I know Dana doesn't like these new fights. He wants to see, the second and third representation of the same fight that we've seen. So new fights aren't really his thing. But, this is a good idea.
And, I mean, as John brings up in the chat here, hi, John. I told you I'd shout you out. Khabib's minions really are coming in and kind of tearing through the UFC right now with Zabit, with Islam, with what's the other guy? We just talked about him.
Oh, the guy who I always forget?
Yeah. Not Islam, but the other one, Chimaev. Hamza Chimaev.
Chimaev. Who to me is the most dangerous.
Zabit, who's been off for a while. is pretty dangerous. Islam's pretty dangerous too.
No, they're all dangerous. It's just like I've seen, and you're right. Zabit's been off for a while, so he's not as fresh in my mind. Whereas Islam and Chimaev, I've seen both, recently.
Yeah,
they're both dangerous. Chimaev just seems like a notch above.
Yeah, I mean, all different weight classes too. So
yes.
Impossible to ever say like
I said, it's like the Terminator. He's just sending his T2s into each division to take over.
Yeah, it's like even Piotr Yan, not under the Khabib camp, but you're seeing a lot of the Russians coming in and like the Middle Eastern guys coming in and making splashes. They're winning titles and stuff now. So it's very interesting to see. It's all at the lower weight divisions though. Like, where's the next Fedor? Like, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. Give me a heavyweight out of Russia. That's
just give me a heavyweight. I don't care where he's from. Give me a heavyweight that I care about. That would be nice.
You don't care about Francis?
Yeah.
You don't care about Cyril Gahn?
Again,
you don't care about Derek Lewis?
No, I've seen the Derek Lewis thing is a repetitive. I've seen that movie play out repeatedly at this point.
His balls was hot, man. It's still the most quoted line in UFC history. So, I mean, that guy cemented his legacy. There's tons of good heavyweights. Speaking of that, though, and I hear you because this is a problem. They did just announce. I don't know if this is what an MMA topic we were going to cover, but the Ultimate Fighter's coming back, and it's going to be heavyweight men and featherweight women. So it's a repeat of UFC 28. Clearly, that first one didn't work. They didn't get enough talent out of it.
Well, no. Did they announce the coaches?
Coaches yet to be announced. They're accepting applications for fighters right now. So they don't even have the fighters picked out yet. They won't announce. Yeah, they don't have the cast picked out yet. Which my friend of mine was on UFC 28. Mo Green, he was on there, and he made the playoffs, or he made the secondary rounds. And he actually talked about him and a couple of the guys from season 28 trying out to get back on since they have all been cut. So it would be interesting to see maybe if they come back and do a redemption arc would be cool.
Hey, I remember you.
Yeah, right?
You look familiar.
For sure. So it would be cool to see maybe potentially something like that, but I know that that was just announced Monday. I think they said that was coming out. So maybe we'll get something.
You bring up Fedor, and it was 2-3 weeks ago that Fedor had the fight on that other promotion who is slipping my mind at the moment.
Not Bellator. PFL 1?
It might have been PFL. I don't know. But what was interesting to me was I get that Fedor isn't Fedor anymore. That kind of, the allure of Fedor is kind of washed away.
Yeah.
Fedor was a dog in the fight, and I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And then I looked, and Fedor finished it in a minute. And I'm like, this isn't a surprise. If you put Fedor up against the elite guys, yeah, Fedor's not going to, because Fedor's not that guy anymore. But you're putting up against these guys who think they're good and they're not. Even mid-tier Fedor is going to demolish these guys.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of what he wants at this point in his career.
Exactly. So. But I didn't understand. Like I said, I didn't understand the betting market. How is he a dog?
Old, man. I don't think he's fought in a while. I don't think he's won in a while.
The winning, no. The fighting, he had fought not recent, but he had fought within the last year or so, roughly. Enough that it jogged my memory. I'll put it that way.
I haven't heard of him being promoted in a fight in a very long time, which pretty much tells you how they view him at this point.
Well, yeah.
He fought. His last fight was against Rampage Jackson.
There you go.
in December of 2019. So it's been 2 years up until this one that he just had on the 23rd of October. They were both knockouts too. First
I was
round,
say,
244.
if he wasn't bringing them in for Rampage Jackson, I don't know what
But
he's going to bring him in for.
He's not going to get promoted much because, I mean, he lost to Ryan Bader. So that was for the World Heavyweight Championship at Bellator. So it was a Bellator fight. But he got knocked out by Ryan Bader, and then he's beat Rampage, and then he beat Timothy Johnson. So he's just fighting cans or guys his own age at this point, which is all Bellator is.
Nah. Fedor just getting paid, beating up some tunas. No big deal.
So, I mean, he's not doing the Khabib thing, but
No.
maybe he just likes fighting more. I don't know why he still fights.
Yeah. Speaking of, I don't understand why this guy does what he does. Let's talk about Conor, because Conor's still putting himself out there. So did you see his weird Instagram video for the
where he's pacing back and forth?
Yes,
against Max Holloway. Yeah,
the Max Holloway fight, which was a war. Both guys just beat the living crap out of each other with him and Amir. So he's got the fight on his TV, and they're doing the introductions. So Holloway's getting introduced, and here is Conor looking like he needs a fix of whatever drug he's on, as he's pacing back and forth in front of the television. Apparently, the video's been taken down. You can still find it, but what the?
Hey, man. I think that's just Conor trying to get back into that mentality, create a little hype. He's trying to, still promote himself. And Dana White was asked about that. Conor kind of chirping Max Holloway. And Dana said that Conor's still hurt. Like, Conor's got another 6 weeks before he can really even start training again. So he's not too concerned about it. But Dana, if he hears Conor wants to fight blank, Dana's going to be like, okay, we're going to make a lot of money on that. So sure, why not? I think anytime Dana's in a room and anytime Conor says anything about a fight and Dana's anywhere near him, he gets excited immediately. So, it was a ridiculous video. I thought it was kind of interesting, though, at the same time. Shows that he still wants it a little bit, so I appreciate that. But, we mainly watch Conor's Twitter at this point just to see, what ridiculous shit he's going to do, and not so much for, his smack talk like we used to.
Well, Conor then proceeded to talk about how he has, quote-unquote, unfinished business with Dustin Poirier. Saying his head was sore, my leg was sore. I feel good on that. Not to say his leg wasn't busted either, though. I had that thigh well minced. I feel it's just simply not settled yet. It's the fairest response I can give. The fairest response I can give is, Conor, you're not where you used to be anymore. Nobody's banging for a Conor fight.
It's something that our friend Carl and I were talking about earlier today, as to why we see a drop-off in certain fighters. And I think Conor just did what Conor wanted to do. He hit all of his achievements, and then he stopped trying as hard. He wasn't taking it as seriously anymore. He was already reaping his reward while still trying to fight. And so he lost a lot of that dog energy that he had, that I still have something to prove. He doesn't have anything to prove anymore. He said it, that it's all just about legacy for him at this point. But he's not taking that seriously. So
it's all about how big the check is.
That's legacy. A big check is a legacy.
That's true. Not arguing that.
So, but it is interesting just to see. Dustin has that dog still. Dustin still has that fire. So does Max, So,
well, it's funny that you bring up the fire for Dustin, because Justin Gaethje, who we've been talking about, was talking about Dustin Poirier and said, if Poirier beats Oliveira, I don't know if he fights me. I think he walks away and calls it good.
No, absolutely not.
Poirier responded. He said, if I'm fortunate enough to win this year that I've had, I could walk away. It's a great position to be in, but those guys need ass whoopings, and I'm the guy to give it to them.
I love him for that. That's awesome.
Quickly for Sean in our chat room, this is not my bathroom. This is my kitchen. I know it is pink.
Live from Cell Block C.
Okay, we've had this conversation many a week. Let's move on.
Yeesh.
You and I have had our conversations about Michael Chandler. Neither of us are huge Michael Chandler fans. I now also believe that Michael Chandler is delusional. Michael Chandler's quote, people aren't going to remember the wins and losses. They're going to remember how you made them feel. I think the feeling that people get is the epitome of why people love this sport. No, Mike, they wouldn't remember who won the fight.
They only remember both people, and they only remember the fight for just being a fight if it is one of those iconic fights. And you don't really get those a lot. Granted, this year in UFC, we've had more like really, really good fights than we have in a very long time. I mean, Chandler Gaethje was a great fight. Yair and Max was a great fight. So we had 2 back-to-back weekends. So it gets really hard when you start to get more and more of those, but it kind of reignites everything at the same time. So he has a little point, but not much.
Well, I feel what helps his point slightly is if you like Gaethje Chandler was a rematch, or Chandler and him were a rematch. So if you have a great fight or multiple great fights as part of a sequel trilogy, what have you, then yeah, those stick out because it's part of the story, so to speak. But if it's just a stand, like if you get in bloodbaths every fight, all right. So if Chandler has five straight fights, just like he had this one, but he loses all 5, everybody goes, that guy gets the shit kicked out of him every goddamn fight. That's all they're going to remember.
Well, yeah. I mean, Robbie Lawler was like that for a long time. Carlos Condit was like that for a long time. Being in the fights, but getting absolutely destroyed every fight. So Frankie Edgar at this point, yeah. BJ Penn towards the end of his career. Like Michael Chandler is still relatively young though. Like he's still at a competitive age. He's a little bit older than we are, so like he's getting to the end, but there's still things for him to do in the UFC. He still has the ability to get some good fights in. So I'm okay with it, but he's at this point, he's got a rubber match coming with Gaethje, and if he wins again and beats like a Poirier or an Oliveira, like maybe he gets a title shot again. But if not, like you're just a gatekeeper for the rest of your career at that point.
2 more MMA related things, and then we'll move on. So we talked about the heavyweights earlier. The unification bout between Ngannou and Cyril Gane is supposed to be late January.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and I would say take this with about as much of a grain of salt as you want to, considering the name I'm about to throw out and everything that is attached to this name. The rumor, and while stress rumor, is the winner of the unification bout will go on to face Mr. John Jones.
I mean, what else are you going to do at this point in the heavyweight division? If Ngannou wins, who does he have? Going back to what we were saying earlier, he doesn't really have anybody else to fight. John Jones doesn't deserve a heavyweight title shot. John Jones doesn't deserve to have a career in MMA anymore. By the way, I loved his tweet. He had a tweet earlier this week about how he finds it funny that a lot of people that call him out still live with their moms. and how they should focus on bettering themselves instead of attacking him. And then somebody came into his comments and says, "Hey, John, I don't live with my mom. My mom lives with me." And then he tried to take the high road. Like, hey, I respect that. Like, good on you for taking care of your mom. I just think it's funny how all these people that are lesser than me just want to tear me down while I'm trying to get better. Like, you clearly suck at getting better, John.
I was going to say getting better. I was going to say, like, how many steps is that plan? Because I don't feel like he's gotten off of step 1.
I feel like he's just trying to get better at hiding the evidence of him beating on people or doing drugs or hitting cop cars. Guys.
John, here, I'll give you a very easy step 1. Very easy step 1. Since Dana, because again, Dana loves to see things that we've seen it before, right? So since Dana is so willing to let you still have a career and is going to let you go into the octagon again, how about for step 1 of getting better, you pass the drug test?
Yeah.
There you go. Step 1. And then we can move to step 2 about, like not fleeing the sea after a hit and run. Step 3, not beating the hell out of a woman. Step 4, not resisting arrest. Small things.
My son resisted arrest this morning. It was a very, very hard conversation I had to have with him about that.
When you're 4 or 5 weeks.
He's 4 weeks tomorrow. Yeah,
there you go. I'm following along.
A little bit.
All right. So last thing to talk about before we move off of MMA is your favorite female, Misha Tate. Because she had a lot to say as she gets ready for her fight at UFC Vegas 43. So, 3 comments. First one, I think I can get the division spiced up a little bit. I think women in the division are going to be gunning for me just as much as they are gunning for Amanda because they know if they fight me, there's a way towards the title. If they can get past me, I know that's what they're thinking. That's what I'd be thinking. But good luck.
I mean,
well, before you respond, let me give you 2 because it's kind of tied into this.
Sure.
She goes, sometimes you only get 1 shot, and when I take that shot at Nunez, it will be perfect timing. I'll have the perfect aim. I will be the sniper to take her out, but I'm not going to jump the gun.
She's got pillows for her hands, man. When has she ever been known for her punching power? That shit doesn't get better with age.
Not just that, but all I remember about Misha fights, and I'll admit, it's been a while since I've seen Misha in the octagon. All right? I don't even know the last time Misha was in the octagon. But here's what I remember about Misha fights. Misha, much to what you're saying, doesn't have a whole lot of power behind the punches. Yet she really thinks that she has a stand-up game. So she almost goes into the octagon with this idea that she's going to trade shots. And her face would get pounded in these fights. That's what I remember about Misha Tate fights. Not Misha Tate winning, not Misha Tate dominating. Misha Tate face looking like a side of beef.
And she's so pretty too. Like she.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whenever I see her on TV, it's like somebody let off a plumbus in the room, man. Like, ooh, it's kind of hot in there.
You drop those. So, while she's talking a lot about Nunez, here's the one you're gonna like. This is the specific comment for you, Josh. I know she's retired and just had a baby. And that's all fine and dandy. But man, it would be a dream come true if she came back and I could fight her one more time. Don't get me twisted. I'm not trying to call out a brand new mama. That has to be something she wants to do. Misha Tate on wanting to fight Ronda Rousey again.
Wow. So this is the dumbest fucking thing. Misha Tate just needs to stop because Misha Tate has 0 chance of getting a title shot. She has 0 chance of being a top 5 fighter at 135 pounds. She has even less chance of getting Ronda Rousey to come back. Ronda Rousey will fight Misha Tate on the street for free. She's not going to come back to MMA and get those boxing skills exposed again. But does Misha really want to get her arm broken after tapping? Because Ronda's not going to give a shit at all.
So here were my questions, because I didn't go back. I was trying to go off of memory. So they fought, right? And I'm pretty sure Ronda won the first time. Right? So
Ronda's won every fight between them.
Did they fight twice? 3 times.
3 times.
Okay.
Yep. They fought twice in, I can't remember the promotion that they were in before they came to the UFC.
Oh, okay. So all right. So you're talking about pre-UFC. Okay, gotcha.
They fought twice pre-UFC, once
UFC. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For some reason, I thought they fought twice UFC. All right. Anyway, so my point is I don't know where Misha has it in her head that if somehow Ronda decided, you know what? Sure, Misha, what the hell? I'll come back and let's fight. Misha's winning. It never went well for you. It's not getting any better.
Ronda didn't forget how to do judo throws and break your arm.
No.
Just overnight. She still does it all the time. So, no shot.
Ronda's issue was always the stand-up. It was always her issue. It just took a while for her to get very exposed.
It took somebody with an actual stand-up game, a legitimate stand-up fighter, to beat her.
We can question the legitimate portion
Amanda,
of that statement.
No, Amanda Nunes is a legitimate.
No, I'm not talking about Amanda. I'm not talking about Amanda.
Ronda was never legitimate.
No, Ronda wasn't legitimate. I don't think the one who cracked Ronda was legitimate either.
Holly Holm?
Yes.
The 14-time kickboxing champion?
I know that she's a kickboxing champion. I'm not debating that. I'm debating her quote unquote stand up in UFC. Holly Holm's UFC resume is I knocked out Ronda Rousey.
I mean, that's her biggest win, yeah. Because she got submitted.
No, that's it. That's what she hangs her shit on, was I cracked Ronda. And it's like, okay, great. You did nothing else.
Yeah. So Holly fought Cyborg. Holly fought GDR. She's had a lot of good fights. I mean, she's lost a lot of them, but she's won quite a few too. So, I mean, yeah, no, Sean's actually got a point. Since the Olympics, it's not been great. But, I mean, Holly's had some big fights. So she has a legacy, and she brought a legacy coming in. So what we really saw from her is kind of what we saw from Izzy to an extent when he fought Jan Blachowicz. You've got kickboxers who have natural kickboxing talent that can really beat you up on the feet. Holly Holm, maybe not as much because she's fought other kickboxers that have a little bit better wrestling and grappling and lost, but don't really have the adaptability to be full-on mixed martial artists. And I think that's what Holly's biggest issue was. Ronda's biggest issue was she was a judoka with submissions. And Misha Tate was a wrestler who couldn't handle the strength and speed of Ronda. So they all have their faults. And Amanda Nunes is just a fucking monster. So
as far as the Ronda thing's concerned, I don't know that there is anybody that could call Ronda out that would bring Ronda back. I just don't think Ronda has the desire to go back and do that.
Ronda, you know how Usman, we talked about him saying he wanted like $20 million or something like that to fight Izzy.
No. I actually that since I put that in the ticker here, I was gonna bring that up. I have the exact statement. The exact statement.
Yeah, so that would be what Ronda would have to get to come back just to fight Misha.
Yes. So the Usman Izzy thing, right? He says he's fully willing to do the fight for $100 million.
Yeah. Okay, so it was 100 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
Connor didn't even get 100 million. What makes you think you're getting 100 million? You're a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. You're very, very good, and I hated you for a very long time because I didn't respect you. I hated him when he was just a wrestler. He bored me to death. Now he's got his stand-up game kind of working for him, and he's doing a lot better, so I respect him. You're not getting $100 million to fight Izzy, man. Neither you or Izzy are at that level right now. Izzy will get more money fighting Robert Whittaker in Australia than he will fighting Usman.
And as much as I want to see that fight, it's not a $100 million fight.
No. That's not a Manny Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather fight. Not even close.
Did anybody watch that Pacquiao-Mayweather fight? That wasn't a $100 million fight either.
I watched it. I paid for it. I was very upset.
I apologize.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Just reliving bad decisions. That was great.
That's a no bueno. No.
I mean, you put Mayweather versus anybody, and it's not worth what they say it's worth. So who knows these days? But Dana's never going to cough up that amount of money. So I guess that fight's just never going to happen.
No, I mean, even Dana doesn't buy Mayweather fights. He'll sit there and watch Canelo. He won't watch Mayweather.
Did we ever find out if he paid for that?
I don't know if that was confirmed or denied.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I hope he wasn't streaming. That would be bad.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so that's it for everything I got MMA. So let's move on to baseball. I'll save the rant. All right, the rant's in here. We'll save the rant. So let's talk about. Let's first start with this. So we've talked about before the idea of MLB having a streaming service so that they could get around blackouts and all that wonderful stuff. So we went through the details of that. So, at this point here, Thanksgiving, month before Christmas, a few months before the baseball season started, you would think that this Sinclair, which is what it's called, would start to have this thing kind of put together. Josh, you want to take a guess at how many teams have signed up for the RSN for Sinclair so far?
I'm going to go with an optimistic number here, and I'm going to say 2.
Okay. Well, I would say your optimism was a little subdued. It is 4.
I was close. I'll take it.
Yeah. So 4. So not exactly the ideal number you would want to have if you're going to launch a streaming service.
Yeah.
Only 2 of the 4 clubs are known at this point. Let me see where that is. I think the Marlins are one of them and the Tigers are the other. I think those are the 2 that we know. The big problem is that they paid in August of 2019, they paid $9.6 billion for a deal, which was all the Fox Sports RSNs, which are now Bally's for certain regions. Mm-hmm. They got 14 MLB teams along with 16 NBA and 12 NHL. We talked about the idea that in doing the MLB streaming service, they were going to try and rope in NBA and NHL to try and do this whole thing. With 42 teams in the inventory, Sinclair is the largest RSN operator. As I said, they struck the streaming, the naming right deal with Bally's and rebranded the channels. Here's the problem. Their subsidiary, there we go, got that spit it out. Diamond Sports was forced to write down the value of the acquisition by $4.2 billion and continues to face debt pressure over the deal. It's failed to restructure its $8 billion plus in debt this summer, and the RSNs have been dropped from a number of services like Dish, Sling, YouTube, and Hulu. To head off a deeper crisis, their focus now is a direct-to-consumer streaming service that would cost $15 to $20 a month. Try and put it out in the first half of 2022. like I said, 4 MLB teams, the Tigers and the Marlins are 2 that they know. They basically told that their investors that, this isn't a short-term thing. They're trying to sell the investors on, getting basketball and hockey in as well, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, this isn't good. Not good. There's no part of this that screams good and promising.
I mean, what did we expect from a sport that's already tanking itself? Trying to come up with a deal like this for streaming where we don't even know if there's going to be a baseball season next year. The whole thing just seems ill-timed and kind of ill-advised at this point, and it doesn't feel like they put a lot of thought into it. So Bally's in general, Bally's is a sports book, is it not? Like they are a gambling
they have
company.
the naming rights for it.
Yeah. So
I mean, Bally's is involved because what their idea is that the streaming app would include social games and wagering around the live broadcast. So I assume Bally's would be involved in that portion. So some of the app games would be free and some will require payment. I mean, they're basically trying to make these broadcasts into like almost mini casino games at the same time.
I mean, I will accept that as long as they can get the Peyton and Eli stream and there's an over-under on how many times one of them or a guest says fuck on national TV. Like, I'm in for that.
I would say the over-under always has to be at least 2. You're getting 1.
You're getting 1 for sure. But, yeah, it's interesting that they want to do a streaming service and then a sportsbook has naming rights to it. It seems kind of weird.
It's not weird. Just kind of give you, I'll dive into that in a second, but just to kind of round this out, RSN fees account for about $2 billion of the $10 billion in MLB's annual revenue. For teams, those fees account for half of their yearly income. National TV deals with ESPN, Fox, and Turner pay MLB a combined $1.74 billion annually that's shared among the 30 clubs, with the remainder of income coming from their tickets and game day, fans, sponsorship, merchandise, all that crap. But here's the thing. Anybody who's paid attention to baseball over the last year and a half, which surprisingly numbers would suggest there are more people, would notice that MLB has kind of turned their cheek the other way to betting is bad and fully embraced. I mean, they're in cohorts with DraftKings and at the National Stadium, they have, I want to say it's MGM kiosk right there, certainly outside the stadium. They might have them right on the platform as well. They have a sports book. There was a sports book. I don't know if it's Nat Stadium. It might be where the Capitals play, but there was a sports book actually inside the stadium. I know the Diamondbacks at Chase Field have a sports book attached to the stadium. So betting is becoming more and more integrated into baseball every day, with some stadiums literally having the sports book as you walk in. I think ideally what most of these clubs would like to have, and what I think the Nationals have, is that they have the kiosk outside. Like I said, I think the original idea was for the kiosk to be on the the walkway or whatever you want to call that. I think I don't think they did that. I think basically when you get in, you can go on the MGM app and then bet from your phone. Which I think is what more teams would probably want to do, where teams would individually probably link up with a specific app, whether it be DraftKings or FanDuel or whoever, and then that would be your primary app at that stadium.
It's interesting. Maybe Bally's would try and work something with MLB, because everything basically goes through the MLB app when it comes to like purchasing tickets and everything too now. So maybe once this is like nationwide, when online gambling's in every state, then maybe we'll see something like this.
Which should happen at some point. Please speed that
I
up.
mean, it'd be cool for me. I would like to actually be able to bet legally.
I don't know what your area is doing. Like your area,
I know exactly what my area is doing. My area is doing the same thing that it's going to do with like legalized marijuana and stuff like that. The senators and representatives in like Minnesota, Wisconsin, the big thing there is they want to get their hands in it or know that they can get their hands in it before they make it legal. Like, so they want to be able to get their sharing interest in it. That's their big thing.
So why don't they just do, I mean, put it this way. New York just got it legalized, right? They allowed only nine of the apps to function in there. Sorry, Barstool, you didn't get in. And
they said they didn't want in, so they're not too heartbroken. Penn didn't really want it because if you saw how much they're being taxed.
Well, that's where I was about to go.
Yeah.
They are getting taxed 51%. But, right, so that's a New York thing. Delaware, however, they have it. All their stuff is run through the lottery, which I think would be apropos to what your area needs. That's the easiest way to get your hands involved.
Yep. I'd be okay with it. I mean,
just get something. I'm tired of going out there and being like, in a third world country.
No, you're in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is a third world country. They shouldn't even be a state, as far as I'm concerned.
If I drove the extra time and crossed the state line and went to your side, you still don't have what I need.
No, but we'd be a lot nicer about it.
I don't care how nice you are. If you don't have it, you're no good to me.
It's fair. Which hopefully the plan is still for me to come out there and for us to do a live show in person.
Live show.
The next week or two would be cool. That's the
Live
plan. So we'll see.
I don't know. Let me answer this. So Sean said, I don't watch baseball because it's hard to watch consistently, as well as finding your favorite teams. All right. So as far as finding your favorite team, all right, I'm going to assume you're talking as somebody who doesn't live in the market of your favorite team. MLB attempts to help that, in which you can buy the MLB package through their streaming. T-Mobile gives it away every year if you've got T-Mobile. So finding it, they try and make it as easy as possible. Plus, if you don't live in market, you don't have to worry about blackouts, which is something that people in market have a huge problem with. The watching it consistently is a little harder. And for people our age, the watching it consistently is a matter of two things. One, desire, which as fans of the teams that we're fans are, that desire fluctuates depending on how deep into the season we are.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we're old. We don't stay up as late as we used to. Okay. Like if I'm catching a West Coast game, there ain't no way I'm staying up till, unless I was at work, that was different. But if I'm home, that's just not going to happen. The Phillies are doing something this upcoming year, that I think is a step in the right direction. It's something I've talked about a lot on this show. And that's during the school year for weekday games, all games will be started at 6:45. So trying to start it a little earlier and attempt to get done a little earlier. Like I said, it's not the full-blown answer, but it's a step in the right direction.
I'm kind of in favor of that. I would like more afternoon games, like during the summer break would be nice. Because as you said, even some Sunday night football games are up too late for me. It's I'm not going to watch the end of this game unless it's a Vikings game. I'll watch it then because I like to suffer and just, be in my own self-wallow and pity for a while. But when I was living on the West Coast, it was great. That was the best time to watch baseball living on the West Coast because everything was so early. Same thing with football. I'd wake up at 9 a.m. with a hangover and know that I only have to wait an hour for football to start. And I have football until dinner.
Well, great. That's why, he's not on here, but that's why I hate the stash. because he doesn't have any of these problems. Okay,
He is on his way. He'll be here soon.
Yes, I know he'll pop his stash in here at some point. On Sunday, whereas I'm waiting around till 1 o'clock for football to start, and then football, by the time 7:30 comes, now football takes a break for about an hour, and then the Sunday night game comes. Okay, for him, he rolls out of bed and football starts.
Yeah.
And then by the time the Sunday night game comes, he's eating dinner. Screw him.
Great. It's great for him, but there are some drawbacks. Like with everything non-sports related TV wise, like they roll it out at the same time on the West Coast that you see it on the East Coast. So like you would see shows like Game of Thrones. You guys were getting Game of Thrones an hour, 2 hours before I was getting it. So the spoilers were already out online.
Yeah.
And I had to wait. So like there are some drawbacks, but like if you're a sports fan and you live on the West Coast, it's the greatest thing in the world.
Trust me, I would take the early sports and deal with the late TV.
I think the biggest issue with like the baseball and being able to watch it consistently, like Sean says, is like, I'm in market for my team and I don't watch 90% of the games because they take too damn long. My team's not good, so I'm not going to enjoy the game. And baseball just you almost have to be there to really enjoy a baseball game. Baseball doesn't translate over the television as it does if you're in person. That's for sure. It's not, it's not a, how do I want to put it? It's not a visual, aesthetically pleasing sport like a football is or something like that. So I get that. But the biggest thing I think, as far as the blackouts and all of this is, you look at, the Mets and the Yankees and the Phillies and the Red Sox, and I'm sure there are other ones that I don't have off the top of my head. But what these all have in common is they have their own network. They're not tied to an RSN. They're not tied to Bally's. All right. The Yankees have, yes. The Mets have SNY. Phillies have Comcast. The Red Sox have NESN. The Blue Jays probably have TSN. That kind of stuff. And while, at the beginning, the Yes has kind of been always like that. Yes was the first one. It's always kind of been the mainstay. Yankees have always kind of been ahead of everybody when it came to that stuff. But like, people kind of wondered what these big money deals were and how it would benefit. But now you're seeing the benefits. Like, not only does it raise your team's value, okay, but you don't have to deal with the outside stuff. Okay, if you happen to sell the team, now you have another asset to add on. Plus, every decade or so, you rework the deal. All right, like the Mets SNY deal is up in a couple of years. All right, that's just more money coming at some point. Well, assuming they play halfway decent.
Man.
I mean, your team has gotten a little bit better, but
that's the biggest thing that this Sinclair Bally's RSN issue has. How do you convince those teams who don't need you to come aboard?
I mean, you're going to see the same kind of thing that you're going to see like with college football. Like Oklahoma and Texas had their own network essentially. Like Texas had its own network for football back in the early 2010s. And the rest of the Big 12 complained about it and had an issue with it because they had just a massive revenue stream that nobody else was able to capitalize on. Texas didn't care because Texas is making all the money off of this because they were smart enough to do it. Yeah. Oklahoma had enough money to do it. And everybody else kind of floundered. And you saw what ended up happening there is Oklahoma and Texas didn't like it, so they just went and played ball elsewhere. There's going to have to be –
That's why everybody hates. Go ahead.
No, but just saying, that's you're going to need to find a way to appease the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Mets, like the Phillies. You're going to have to find a way to appease them or to work a deal with their already existing networks that's beneficial for them and also helps, like the Twins and the Mariners and the ones that don't have their own network. So they've got to work it that way, but they can't even work out against CBA. So we'll see.
That's why everybody, okay, let's get to the truth of it. That's why everybody hates Notre Dame, because Notre Dame was on NBC every year. Like they didn't need cable, they didn't need anything. They were being seen by everybody. Like even when all of a sudden these conferences were like, okay, we'll do the Big Ten network and the Pac-12 channel and blah, blah, blah. You still needed, not only did you need cable, but then you had to get the cable package, to get those channels. Whereas Notre Dame was just on your TV every Saturday. You didn't need anything.
I mean, I'm not going to complain too much about that because Alabama's on TV every Saturday. Like they have a national game when they play New Mexico State,
that's
so
because
it doesn't matter.
that's because the SEC eventually signed on with CBS. But I'm saying for the longest time, it was only Notre Dame that had the national deal.
Mm-hmm. Carl brings up a point there too with like the MAC has the rights for Tuesdays and Wednesdays, which is cool. I didn't even know that. I don't think I've ever watched college football on a Tuesday or Wednesday. So like it's MAC action, but
I would say MAC action needs MAC action is its own separate entity. That's why it has Tuesday and Wednesday nights. It's on. Usually those games are on ESPN, ESPN2, sometimes ESPN News if something else is going on. But yeah, they have their dedicated MAC action nights. Those start your college football your college football betting weeks once the MAC action. And it's interesting, like when college football starts, MAC action doesn't start. You got to get a few weeks in before MAC action starts taking over.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they could put that on the Ocho for all I care. Like, just
right after the Tetris Championship.
Right after the F1 races, which somehow don't get main ESPN playing time.
Here we go.
I'm only going to say that much. I mean, if you're not watching or paying attention this year, this is the best racing season we've had in a decade. So,
by the way, I'm happy you brought this up because, right, you bring up F1. You're not talking NASCAR, all right? And I know you're
talking real racing.
Yes, I know you're not an overly huge NASCAR guy. Yeah. Okay, but for people like Dale, who were probably heavily affiliated with NASCAR, I found this story extremely interesting and disturbing all at the same time. So, the band is called Brass Against.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh, this is amazing.
And they performed at the Rockville Festival in Daytona Beach this past weekend. Their singer is Sophia Urista.
Oh, that's a name.
I was going to say, you can imagine where you found her. Who apparently has had to make numerous apologies after what she did. So I'll preface this with this. Her statement as recently as Tuesday was, "I've always pushed the limits in music and stage. That night, I pushed the limits too far." Mm-hmm. So I don't know where she thought the line was, but here is what happened. She singled out a male fan in the crowd with a beer can on his head. She called him onto the stage while the band was covering Rage Against the Machine's Wake Up. Again, very interesting to paint the picture.
Yeah.
She told him to lie down on the stage, at which point she pulled down her pants and took a piss on his face. I'm not even going to say urinated. We all know what it means. Took a piss on his face. However, just to tie this all up, the man, not only unfazed, but seemingly thrilled by the act, stood up and spit the pee out at the audience.
She had one chance to be on stage.
Daytona and NASCAR, I don't know what does.
Daytona's in Florida, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Yep. Okay. Florida man story. This is nothing. This is nothing for Florida. For the rest of us, this is gold. I remember seeing the clip, and I didn't even know it
Oh, I
had
didn't even
anything
see
to
the
do with
clip.
NASCAR.
I just
I
came
saw the
across.
clip.
Oh,
Oh, it's something.
it's something. I can imagine.
It's something. I remember watching it, and I was like, "What is she doing?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then they said that it was at like they said like it was a bigger show, and I was like, "Okay." like if that's what you want to do, I guess. I've seen some weird shit at some like lower level, lower class rock shows, but that's the new one for me.
I feel like
I don't like pee videos, guys. I saw it on Twitter, okay?
I
And
feel like
you don't not watch if you come across a video of like somebody pissing on somebody, you're gonna watch it.
I
You don't have to
feel like
like
if
it.
I feel like if we rewind this like I don't know whatever it was a decade ago with the I'm not even gonna finish it, but with the two girls and a you know what
Oh, yeah.
like
Dude, bro, that's 20 years old, dude. That's not 10 years old.
okay
That's old.
as our buddy Carl referenced it here in the chat. Okay,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
like you knew what you were walking into, and you knew it was bad, but you had to watch it anyway.
It's like setting your buddy's like computer home or your internet home screen to meetspin.com. It's like that kind of fucked up shit is what you're getting with that video.
All right, so let's try and steer this back on track. We were talking baseball. Hey,
you were.
You went F1. I had a NASCAR story. It blended.
It did something all right.
Yeah. So we've got 2 weeks until MLB officially goes frozen and locks out. In the meantime, deals are getting done. Everybody who was offered a qualifying offer rejected, except for Brandon Belt. He gets concussed so many times. He was like 18 mil. By all means, I'll take it. Thank you. Justin Verlander rejected the qualifying offer and then re-upped for 25 mil for the year with the Astros this year. That happened tonight. Andrew Heaney, fresh off of an ERA over 5 and a stint with the Yankees that made them want to exile him, got 8 mil from the Dodgers. Eduardo Rodriguez fled the Red Sox for the Tigers. He got 5 years, $77 million. Your former ace Jose Berrios got extended by the Blue Jays for 7 years and over 100 mil.
131.
And then the one that I will talk about the most here is Noah Syndergaard signing with the Angels for $21 million. So I want to walk you through where I'm at with this, okay? Because we're gonna get into what our friend Zach likes to call the Dan rant. We're going down that road here, because in conjunction with Syndergaard leaving, we have the news, as you and me have discussed, that the Mets finally got to put a ring on it with somebody. And Billy Epler
forced a ring on it, but yeah.
Hey, Billy Epler is going to be announced probably next week as the team GM for the next 4 years. If he makes it that long, we'll see. Anyway, so qualifying offers were put out after the World Series, and they had up until today to accept, reject. Syndergaard, before the season ended and before the qualifying offers could ever be made, said he would be humble and would consider it a privilege if the Mets were to extend the qualifying offer, which is $18.4 million, which the Mets did. Now, mind you, remember, Noah Syndergaard has pitched a total of 2 innings in the last 2 years. Both of those innings happened at the end of this season. So all this time has gone by and nothing had come out. I hadn't really given it much thought. Most guys don't accept the qualifying offer right away. They usually wait till the last minute. They want to see how it comes out. Then yesterday, obviously, the news comes out that he's going to the Angels. And based off of everything that he had said, and now that I hear he's leaving to now become the next rally monkey, I'm a little thrown off guard and a little surprised and a little angry. But then I do some digging. And now I'm not mad at Noah anymore. Now my anger goes to where it needs to be, which is my goddamn team. Because while the Angels owner reached out to Noah, flew cross country to sit and have dinner with Noah, sat there and told Noah how the use of the 6-man rotation would help lower the innings that he would have to pitch this upcoming season, how it helped Shohei stay healthy this past season in which he's going to be the MVP, and how it would help Noah stay healthy, how they envision him attacking hitters, and all of this stuff, all of this layout blueprint of why he should come to the Angels for a mere $2.5 million more than the Mets were offering him. You know what he got from the Mets? Silence. Not a damn thing. And you know why? Because they're worried about trying to get Billy fucking Epler. They're worried about trying to get a goddamn GM. So Noah, who is being told all of these things from an organization that has a GM and has a manager and has all of these things, looks at the Mets. It's like, I could stay here, but I don't know who my GM is. I don't know who my manager is. Shit, I don't even know who I'm pitching with. So I don't blame him.
He still got DeGrom, though. So, he would have still
for this year. Because guess what? He's going to opt out.
Oh, he's going to leave, too. No way he stays now.
Here's what I don't understand.
Math?
No, I get math. Thank you. The Mets with Steve Cohen, who is, this billionaire, okay, and all of this stuff. Why aren't they aggressive? Why? Because I know what they're doing. They just got the GM. All right, they'll wait the 2 weeks for this thing to lock out. Then they'll get a manager. Okay, which to that point, I want Buck Showalter. It probably won't be Buck Showalter. They'll probably get me Brad Asmus, who the last time Brad Asmus was good, he took a subpar Tigers team to the World Series who got smacked by the Cardinals, who didn't deserve to be there anyway. All right, I still have PTSD from that. We're not going down that road. All right, and then what will happen is come late February or March, when this thing finally gets done, all right, and then there's a mad dash from all of these free agents to sign because they need to get to clubs and, and get into spring training and start. The Mets will then try and get guys because they know basically it'll be the best of those offers right then and there that guys will sign for, and they'll try and get them cheaper. That's what this is. This isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what this is supposed to be, damn it. Okay, and when I see the manager candidates that go past Showalter and Brad Asmus, when I see the names such as Raul Ibanez or Eric Chavez, okay, former players, okay, what did Steve Cohen say when he got this team? He said, I'm not thrilled with people learning on my dime. Then don't go and fucking hire a manager who's learning on your dime, because guess what? We just had that with Luis Rojas.
And Carlos Beltran before that.
He never learned anything. He learned that they banged on a trash can and he had to leave.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay, and I still have people advocating for Carlos Beltran to come back. What the fuck?
We never got a chance. How do we know he wasn't good? We never got to see him suck.
I want competency.
Yeah, I do too with my football team. It ain't gonna fucking happen though.
Okay, at the moment. Okay, and I'll preface this at the moment because in both leagues we are 15 games in. Okay, I have a hockey team and a basketball team that are looking overly promising. Overly promising.
The Rangers or the Islanders?
Rangers. All right, nobody likes the Islanders. They don't even have a fucking stadium.
Okay, but they're better than the Rangers right now.
No, they're not.
Who made the playoffs last year?
It's last year. We're not talking about last year. We're talking about right now.
Well, okay. Islanders actually made upgrades and look like a real team right now. Rangers.
We're 10-3. We're 10-3.
The Wild are like 10-3 right now. Do you think I have any hope for them?
I'm looking for baby steps here. I just want playoffs. I'm not talking about a Stanley Cup here.
Okay, you might get it.
Oh, I'll get it.
You getting Sean Avery back?
I would take him back in a second.
Yeah, I bet you would. Fucking
love Sean Avery.
I bet you do. My God.
But
anyway,
finishing the rant.
Yes.
When I have a bazillionaire owner, get me what the fuck I need. I shouldn't be waiting around. Okay? I'm still, and I shouldn't be surprised because he already showed me how this works. When last year, because they didn't want to wait around for JT Realmuto, they went and signed James fucking McCann.
He was good once.
Not for me.
No, I said once. You didn't get the once.
He hasn't even been good. He was above average when he was basically in a timeshare.
Mm-hmm. You have a lot of guys like that, though. Didn't Mike Zunino make a World Series as a starting catcher? And that guy's.
Well, we know your hatred for Mike Zunino. You know what?
Fucking hate Mike Zunino.
You know what's going to be awesome? Okay, because Conforto is leaving. Conforto's not resigning. All right, yeah. And I know where was it? All right, our boy Carl. Let's toss this up. Said better lock up Stroman. That's not fucking happening.
No.
That's not happening either. And yes,
Carl,
where the Travis d'Arnaud just won the fucking World Series. All right. Travis d'Arnaud, who couldn't hit the goddamn ball or throw to second base as a Met, won the World Series. Congratulations. Fuck you. What's going to be awesome is Conforto will probably sign with the Mariners. Okay? Yeah. And then what the Mariners are going to do? They're going to be the Pacific Northwest Mets. Going out there with Michael Conforto and what used to be the Mets' uber prospect before they traded him for fucking Robinson Cano, Jared Kelenic, and then he'll go out and smash fucking 30 home runs next year too. And it'll just be a giant FU from the Pacific Northwest. So it'll be awesome. I'm really looking forward to baseball next year. Really looking forward to it. Bring it on. I hope the lockout never happens.
I mean, if you're telling me that Seattle's actually going to make the playoffs, I might watch baseball next year.
Seattle never makes the playoffs. Seattle wins 95 games and doesn't make the playoffs. They find a way. The only good thing I can tell you about the Mariners is that they announced that Ichiro is being put in their Hall of Fame this year.
And Ken Griffey Jr. is part owner now. So yes. Those two things are huge wins.
Is he going to change the Mariner logo to the Swingman?
It should be. Can they just be the Seattle Swingmen? Because I'm down for that.
That, or you have to bring the old Mariner logo back that had the what does Aquaman use? The trident. The trident.
Trident.
Yeah, there you go. Trident.
Yeah. That'd be cool too. I'd be down for that.
Got to bring that old logo back. If you don't have a trident, I'm not.
Can they get Jason Momoa then?
I'm sure he can throw out a first pitch.
I'm in. Sold. This is a great idea. We just fixed the Mariners.
There you go. See, I'm already making baseball more appealing.
I mean, you bring in Jason Momoa and you put either Seattle Swingman or you bring the Trident logo back. That's huge. Can we bring
That's how they announce it. That's how you announce that the logo's coming back with Jason Momoa.
That's dope.
You know, like full Aquaman thing.
Yep. I'm in.
There you go.
They got Macklemore a couple years ago. Let's bring in Jason Momoa and really just put it over the top.
Yes, because Macklemore really.
Yeah, he's still relevant.
I saw him. They did a MLB Network did a doc on the Mariners, and like Macklemore was like the main voice of this. I'm like, get him the fuck off my screen.
He does the music for the intros and stuff for all the games. So. He's from Seattle. They embrace him because he's
I know.
He's the best thing they've had since Kurt Cobain. Okay, so they're gonna take care of him.
He obviously decided to stick around unlike Kurt, but whatever.
No, that was Courtney Love's doing. We're not going there.
Eh,
I'm not getting into conspiracy theories on this podcast. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no conspiracy theories.
No.
So one last thing before we move off of baseball, maybe Chico shows up at some point. Rob Manfred, in all his efforts to not get the CBA done, made another proposal to the Players Association, in which players' free agency at the age of 29 and a half. It would grant players free agency at age 29 and a half. It would do away with arbitration. The two biggest changes were versions of how salaries would be determined prior to free agency. Basically, MLB is offering to pay players based on performance, specifically on a calculation of WAR. But, MLB is relying on Fangraphs version, or FWAR. A player's career WAR would be part of the calculation, weighted for recency. Whether the player has been in the majors 3, 4, or 5 years would affect the calculation. Here's the thing. Okay, this is bullshit. All right, this is Rob Manfred's slight, appeal to the the nerds like Christian out there who saw something with WAR and went, "Oh yes, that's a great idea. Do this." Okay, you want to appease the players, or better yet, appease the people watching and want to tie it into the calculations. Tell them this. Teams are no longer paying the guys that hit 200 and hit 45 home runs. If you hit 320 and get on base with like a 400 OBP, and hit 20 home runs and steal some bases, and you do it overall, a little bit of everything, those are the guys that get paid. Because look at the guys with the biggest contracts right now. All right, let's take Lindor and Tatis out because they're recent. So let's go before that. All right, you got Trout and you have Stanton. All right, nobody will argue the Trout contract. It was something the Angels had to do, and unfortunately, Trout just hasn't been healthy. Not to mention, in any contract like that, you're getting the down years, Trout running less and all kinds of things beside that. But what did Stanton get paid for?
Home runs.
Stanton got paid for one big year.
Yep.
Because even when he had the big year and got the MVP, okay, you know what was surrounded by those years, as our scout would be, which I would be happy to remind our scout who loves Mr. Stanton? He was never healthy, could never stay healthy, could never play even 140 games, let alone 162. The contract was ridiculous, so ridiculous that 2 years later, the Marlins begged the Yankees to take it and were willing to pay most of it just so they would get him the hell off the books. And now the Yankees are like, I can't even stick him in right field because he can't move.
He's got an old man body.
He's got gunner hips.
Yeah, he's got baby hips, that's for sure. My son has better hips than Giancarlo Stanton.
So, yeah. So, the MVP will be announced tomorrow. Shohei will officially get his MVP.
It won't be Bryce Harper. Suck it, chat.
It will not be Bryce Harper, goddammit. All right, it will be Juan Soto tomorrow. It will not be Bryce Harper. There will be no more Bryce Harper mentions in this goddamn chat room from people.
At least until baseball is a thing again. Anyways.
I would say Cy Young's were tonight. Nothing surprising there.
Yeah, no shock.
It is what it is. So enjoy whatever signings come in the next 2 weeks, and then we will talk about proposals that won't get accepted for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Woo, baseball. Exciting.
The dying game of baseball right now. Awesome.
All right. Let's move on to football. We'll do college first. At least Alabama could show that it could score against somebody.
Yeah. even when they put up points against somebody, you're talking New Mexico State here.
Dang.
Okay. This is a slack off game for them. This is a try and get your mind right, try and get, everything on the up and up again. Even in years where Alabama's had good teams, you have games like this, and they put up 60 points, 70 points without breaking too much of a sweat and not really trying to put the pedal down either. Just like the other team is that bad. We saw 59 get put up on New Mexico, which is refreshing to see a normal Alabama scoreline. It didn't look good, though. Like, I wasn't impressed by anything that I was seeing. It didn't look effortless. It looked like they actually had to put some effort into those points, which maybe that's good for them. But as a fan of a team that's been so dominant for the last 10 years, I just have to sit here and go, like, what are we doing? Is it just that Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone are that incompetent as coordinators that not even Nick Saban can fix them? Like,
I mean, it is Bill O'Brien. Just saying.
It is Bill. I don't think God wants Bill O'Brien to win at anything in life. Like, I'm almost convinced of it at this point because now he's bringing down my team and I don't like it.
Well, you gave the man a God complex there for a little bit in Houston.
And what did he do with it? He traded DeAndre Hopkins and forced Watt to want to leave. And shortly after he leaves, Deshaun Watson's career goes down the tubes. Like, everything he touched turned to shit. So I'm really scared that he's going to be at Alabama for a while, and it's going to happen to us too. Not a fan of this.
Here's the one, and it's very hard to say nice things about Bill O'Brien. I will say this. When you look at who he got rid of, all right, you could bang on him for what he got back. Much like similar to when the Giants traded OBJ, everybody were like, that's all you got back, blah, 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 blah. Right. And I'm sure that, somebody would have offered a first round pick for DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not arguing that. But who did he get rid of that has just blown up after leaving? I mean, Hopkins had a good year last year, but this year he's been hurt. Watt was nothing before he left. So who am I? Like, who was the great asset that he let go?
Not that he let anything go that wasn't worth it. It's what he got that didn't add any value.
He was allergic to first round picks. I hear you there. I mean, that's
the Rams.
Well,
we'll talk about that.
I was say the Rams are allergic to something else too. We'll get to that.
I mean, I can look at it that way and say, like, well, what did we get back? But whenever I have to have that conversation, I'm going to bring it back to baseball a minute. I immediately think of Minnesota. Like, oh, okay, we had a guy with marginal talent for us who may not have been at the top of his game, but now he's going to go play for somebody else and he's going to blow up. And, I mean, look at what actually happened with D-Hop and J.J. Watt going to Arizona. Arizona went on a 7-game win streak. I mean, they're falling off pretty hard right now, but, like, they immediately went to a place where they were better and they looked better when they were playing.
Okay, but, I mean, J.J. Watt wasn't this huge contribution to a 7-game winning streak. Neither was D-Hop. D-Hop's been hurt.
No, but it's the fact that their presence alone does change the game. So you look at it, like, I'll give you the example of a team that has actual offensive players on it that aren't being utilized right now. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. Okay, you put those three in a lineup with pretty much any other coaching scheme than the one that they're in right now, that's dangerous. And you have Thielen and Jefferson, who just their presence on the field alone requires extra attention at wide receiver. That's why you'll see some games where, like, Thielen won't do anything because they're double covering him because he went off the week before. Same thing with Jefferson. You're getting that same kind of treatment. Having DeAndre Hopkins in that wide receiver lineup has allowed Rondale Moore, when he was healthy, to get big gains early on. Like, you have to pay attention to him because you know the threat that he is. Christian Kirk, too. I mean, you have those guys, so they demand your attention because you know what they can do. Like OBJ is still that way, kind of, because he can make that big play, but I mean, he's just a cancer to any team that he ends up on. So you have that too, but you have to at least acknowledge the talent and the presence that they bring, and you as a defense, you do have to pay attention to that, even if it's putting extra pressure on them, leave somebody else open. You kind of have to do it until you can prove that they're not at that level anymore.
So sticking with college, so the playoff has remained the same. Nobody really stumbled. Georgia let Tennessee hang around for about a quarter before they officially, like Tennessee threw a pick. All of a sudden, Georgia was up 2 scores, never looked back. They had no problems. Much like we talked about here last week, the idea that people really thought Purdue was going to give Ohio State a problem was funny. Ohio State had no issues with Purdue. Bo Nix was really the only top 25 team in Auburn that stumbled. But again, it's Bo Nix. Are you really surprised? Michigan got past Penn State, so they maintained their spot. Oklahoma obviously was the big loss of the week. And again, not a surprise. What have we been talking about every week when we're on here? When is Oklahoma going to slip up? Because it's coming. And, I don't think anybody was too surprised that it was Baylor that slipped them up.
I said it literally on this show last week that Oklahoma was going to lose to Baylor, or Baylor was at least going to keep it close. I mean, I'm not shocked. I knew that Baylor was going to be the team to do it. Baylor's always the team to do it, it seems like. So Oklahoma looked great for a while without Spencer Rattler. They just couldn't maintain. I mean, they held out for a lot longer than I thought they would. The fact that they were still in contention at this point amazes me as much as Alabama still being in the playoff amazes me. That's not going to last for much longer, but it wasn't a shock to us, and I don't know why it was a shock to anybody else. And the whole Purdue Ohio State thing was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So I don't know, man. Weird week of betting and people just talking like they knew something big was going to happen.
By the way, I feel like this is a weekly routine. So let me do this. Let's put this up on the screen here. No, no, and no.
It's going to take a miracle. Still,
I don't know how many. No. You guys realize this, okay? If the apocalypse happens, Notre Dame has a better shot at getting in than Cincinnati.
It's true.
And that's even with Cincinnati having beat Notre Dame, right? And you go, well, how does that make sense? I don't know. Tell me how Michigan State beat Michigan and Michigan's ahead of Michigan State in the poll.
John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
Okay. And my response to, well, how would Notre Dame get in over Cincinnati is, who does a network and money rather have, Notre Dame or Cincinnati?
Yeah, Notre Dame. Hands down.
Okay, and
same
then
thing with Michigan too.
And then we could watch that all over again because I haven't seen that enough times to just make me feel all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't had your heart broken enough by Notre Dame in the playoffs. Why not do it again?
Yeah, just keep it running.
Yeah.
All right. So NFL, you brought up the Rams. Let's get to that because apparently the Rams are just having all kinds of issues with winning a football game. I thought that this was set up for them pretty well against the Niner team that, hasn't been all that great. Offensively, they're not really, dynamic in that kind of way. And, the Rams had OBJ. I didn't expect OBJ to have, make a huge impact, but, Von Miller was suited up. You expected the Ram defense at least to keep the Niners in check. So even if the Rams offense wasn't humming, they'd win, a tight game kind of thing. And instead the Rams put up 10 points and lost by 21.
What's interesting is like I almost feel like Sean McVay's kind of on the hot seat now, a little bit, and I don't know if these guys are just trying to bring in, like they're trying to do what Tom Brady did with the Bucks, bring in guys that are gonna win them a Super Bowl. And we love the Von Miller move. We thought that was great for them, but like I don't know if they're getting good pieces, but they're not getting the right pieces. Like it's not coming together the way that it should be, and that's got to make me take a second look at McVay, because I mean he was doing great for a while there, and it's just not panning out for him. And the whole OBJ situation, like Jay Glazer came out and said today that he had been told that OBJ wanted to go to the Rams before he went to the Browns. So he was just kind of waiting for this day to come. So it's where he wanted to be. And Matt Stafford's looked off. The play calling has been kind of weird.
Matt Stafford's looked like Detroit Lion Matt Stafford.
Yeah, so I don't know where this is coming from. And Jimmy G's able to pick apart that defense. Like, I get that George Kittle's back, which is great for him. But that's not – I'm not used to seeing Jimmy G play that way. I'm not used to seeing a Rams offense or defense play like that. I just don't know where that team is at. Along the way, they've lost the identity that they had early on, and they're trying to fill it with pieces that just aren't producing for them. So it's weird, man.
The best thing for them is they have a bye this week, so they get a week to regroup and try and reset, which is maybe something that they need. And then they can try and get back on track because, yeah, they need to get back on the road there as they were, because that's 2-3 weeks in a row now, and which games that you didn't expect them to lose, they have. A team that has gotten themselves on the right road, much like I have been telling you on this show that they would, and much to Mr. Carl's delight over here, is the Chiefs, who by nobody's surprise smacked the Raiders this week. I wasn't stunned by this. 41-14 was the final. And I told you, the beginning of that schedule was extremely difficult. And what made it worse was that you had teams playing them a different way and them needing to adjust. But now with the schedule getting easier and them starting to adjust a little more, and Pat telling his brother to stay far, far away, things are starting to turn a corner. And more importantly for the Chiefs is that while they were sitting there trying to figure things out and trying to get themselves back on track, nobody in that division wanted to take a hold. Okay, the Broncos are up and down. The Raiders, since the Gruden thing, have fallen off the face of the earth. And the Chargers are just, what the hell? What the hell? Because let me tell you something. I watched the Viking game.
Order food an hour later.
And
thank you.
Having done the Viking Cowboy game with you a couple of Sundays ago, I'm used to, I have a general sense of what the Vikings want to do.
Yeah.
So when the Chargers repeatedly are letting Justin Jefferson run over the middle by himself, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't anything the Vikings were doing. It wasn't even necessarily anything that Kirk Cousins was doing, because they were getting pressure on him at times. It was just, for some reason, this Charger secondary wanted nothing to do with covering Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you combine that with Herbert not looking real great lately, and the Chargers have just fallen off the face of the earth again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that game was weird. I don't. Sorry, what?
Is that the game was costly? But go ahead.
It was that too, but yeah, Derwin James, I think, was talking smack pretty early to Justin Jefferson, so I think that had a lot to do with that. I'm pretty sure Derwin James got one of the picks too, but it was the Vikings didn't do anything that they haven't done any other week. There was no new play call. There was no real strategy changes or anything like that. But the defense, and I'm going to get to this in a little bit, but Eric Kendricks has yet another just amazing interception. This guy continues to impress me this year. The defense, the Vikings defense does lead the league in sacks and quarterback pressures. So the defense is starting to come together. It's doing something right. The Vikings offense somehow decides that this week they're actually going to score touchdowns, which I'm here for it because it doesn't happen very often. Chargers defense just gave it to them. So I'm cautiously, I'm appreciative of it. It's nice to see the team actually put some points up. I didn't trust that our defense is going to be able to hold, as they haven't, and as every broadcaster that commentates the Vikings game every week loves to bring up all the struggles that we've had this year. It's one of those things where it's like Mike Zimmer gets to keep his job for another week because he beat the Chargers and an early MVP candidate in Justin Herbert. So neither team impresses me here. Neither team really gets any benefit. The biggest game that was kind of a shock to me was the Packers and the Seahawks. I'm pretty sure that's the first time Russell Wilson's ever been shut out, and that's what really surprised me about it.
See, that wasn't a surprise to me because, one, it had snowed previously in the day. It wasn't like uber cold, but it was colder. And if you look historically, Russ has never won there when it's been that cold. And you want to combine that, Russ coming into that game, Russ was 0-4 lifetime in Green Bay.
Yeah, but he played at Wisconsin. So he knows about the cold there.
Well, they haven't matched up well with Green Bay. And more importantly, which is something that Rodgers himself brought up on the McAfee show, was, Wilson was coming off of the finger injury, which he came back earlier than expected. And, while he's cleared to play, he's probably still not 100%. And when it's that cold, it makes it harder to grip the ball, and dealing with the finger injury itself, it's just going to be harder for him to get through that game. So yeah. I wasn't surprised that Green Bay won. I wasn't necessarily, you want to say you were surprised Seattle got shut out. Okay, fine. Yeah. You expect Seattle to probably put up points, but I wasn't surprised that Green Bay won that game easily. Right now, actually, we is starting the first ever Hard Knocks in season episode.
That's right. Indianapolis.
Yes, the Colts we're going to get up close and personal with Carson Wentz. The Colts managed, they tried to give the Jaguars another win, but they managed to hold on.
Jonathan Taylor is a beast, though.
Yes.
He's going to get wasted there, which is going to make me sad. But at the same time, it's not really a fault that I put on Frank Reich. It's not really something that I put on, Jim Irsay as an owner. It's not working out for whatever reason in Indy. Since Peyton left, that team almost feels cursed.
Well, just think about it too, right? Before Jonathan Taylor got there, they had Marlon Mack, who was a pretty good running back in his own. He wasn't, wasn't a top guy, but he was certainly a pretty good back. And now you've got JT, who is obviously the top back and, a top 10, 5 back, or maybe even a top 5 back as the stash has entered the building. But,
howdy.
Nyheim Hines is the 2. Marlon Mack is like a bench guy begging to get traded, and they won't trade him.
Yeah. Nyheim Hines isn't bad either. So what do you do on that team when you have 3 running backs like that? You should, in theory, trade Nyheim Hines or Marlon Mack. You should trade one of them. You're going to get a decent amount from somebody like Denver. Denver is going to give you a pick or something nice. for Marlack at this point because Melvin Gordon's just not doing it. He's really not. He's not that impressive there.
They have the kid.
What kid?
Javonte Williams.
Oh yeah, the rookie.
Good.
I forgot about him. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's good. Never mind.
Good and terrible.
Maybe San Francisco can put him in their running back carousel.
I would say they have enough running backs. They don't need another one. All
They're
right. So I need to address the pressing question here now that the stash has entered the building. Chico,
See,
we see that you have a Virginia Tech jersey on.
That's not.
This
is-
This is way
That's
too
big.
big of a school.
Called it.
This is way too big of a school for you to be representing.
true, but it's a Michael Vick jersey. You can't just not wear it.
He's got a point.
PETA says you cannot wear it.
What does PETA know? They don't know nothing.
PETA kills more animals than Mike Vick ever did.
Boom,
PETA
facts. Look it up.
PETA has an issue with the CGI Clifford the Big Red Dog, apparently. So that's their new crusade.
A fake dog? Did they see
CGI
Planet of the
Big
Apes?
Red
Hope, they
Dog.
hope not.
So
I had to talk about PETA today, so I'm not excited to talk about them on here because Tiger King 2 came out today. Shout out Netflix. And the first
What?
thing they talk, oh yeah, season
I didn't
2
know
of
this.
Tiger King, bro. Today it just came out.
I think Carol was suing to try and get that stopped. I guess that didn't work.
Well, I mean, they talk about her situation apparently, so I'm gonna watch it over the next couple days, and I'm gonna enjoy every ounce of that train wreck because I love garbage television. So I'll probably also watch Hard Knocks. But I mean, yeah, PETA in general is just a terrible subject, and we should probably not talk about them on here because they're going to confuse
we're not-
this
we're
for
not.
like a fucking Birkin or something, and then I'm going to get in trouble with them.
Here's the thing.
PETA can
Right,
suck
right,
my butt.
If we're going to do an in-season Hard Knocks like we're doing here with the Colts, like they announced that obviously when they were doing, Hard Knocks before the season, they said, for the first time we're going to do an in-season. It's going to be the Colts. Well, if you're going to do an in-season, can we decide that as the season's going on? Because to me, I would much rather want to watch an in-season Hard Knocks on the Lions right now than I would the Colts.
You want to watch
Because-
Dan Campbell cry in his office every week?
Because here are the Lions who will avoid being 0-17 thanks to this week's tie, thanks to Mason Rudolph, and a field goal kicker who kicks about as well as I do.
You might
Why?
kick pretty good.
Buddy.
I mean, you think about the Lions season and the way it's gone and the way that they have managed to not win games. I want to see a Hard Knocks because Dan Campbell has a liquor cabinet in his office.
Doesn't every head coach?
I would assume every head coach has,
I don't think
the
McVay
bottom
does.
right
McVay
drawer,
seems-
like in the movies.
Nah, McVay seems too straight edge.
I mean, McVay's got a full bar in his house, so like,
Sean McVay's in LA. That guy has lines of cocaine on his desk. Did you see his eyes?
yeah, that's
Just-
a fair point.
That's valid.
What are you doing, Matt?
All right, Josh. Last NFL subject is one that I'm sure you can get behind here. So
I get behind a lot of
you
things.
have been
Sean's not.
you've been an advocate of Josh Allen and the Bills being one of the top tier AFC contenders this season. However, when you look at the AFC East, there is a familiar team standing right behind them, and they still have both games against each other remaining. And that is Mr. Mac Jones and the New England Patriots.
Mhm.
And on Sunday, watching the Bills get right and beat up on a team that they should beat up on, and then watching the Patriots go up in it against Cleveland in a game that people weren't sure, and some people thought Cleveland would win, and at least figure it was a tight game. The Patriots destroyed them, and Mac Jones was making throws that I don't know that people necessarily think of Mac Jones making. So I tweeted from the show that, I wouldn't rule out the Patriots just winning this division now. Like, the Bills won the division last year in a down year. We're waiting for the Bills to prove themselves. They've had losses that they shouldn't have. And now you've got the boogeyman knocking at your front door. So you, being the Alabama supporter that you are and the Mac Jones fan club man that you are you riding the Patriots train?
First of all, if you remember from our episode way back before the season started, when we were talking about where everybody was going to kind of fall, I did say that the Patriots were going to be in contention. So this doesn't shock me at all. It does shock me that the Bills are allowing them to keep it that close. I did not see that happening, but I'm not mad that Mac Jones is kind of making a career in New England and actually showing that there is an Alabama quarterback that can play at a decent level in the NFL. So I'm not mad. This is showing also that Bill Belichick, when given a quarterback who works within his system, can make it work in a team that doesn't have any business winning games. When you look at the talent level and the people on the team, minus like a Damian Harris who's injured, like, you don't look at that team and see it as a world beater. You don't see them as a Super Bowl contender. But Mac Jones is making throws that people didn't anticipate him making as a rookie. He's honestly putting himself in that Rookie of the Year contention right now if he continues to play like this. So I'm not really shocked. I'm interested to see where it goes. I don't want to see New England succeed ever, but I'm happy that they're succeeding with a quarterback from Alabama when Alabama's had terrible luck with quarterbacks in the NFL for the last 10 years. 20
Chico, you're
even.
all down for supporting communism. How do you feel about the Patriots?
Holy shit.
Oh, wow. Well, first off, I like Mac Jones. I like Bill Belichick. Don't like Tom Brady. That's the only reason I hated the Patriots was because of Tom Brady, the goddamn Tuck rule. But out of all the quarterbacks that have been coming out of Alabama, I thought Mac Jones, even though he wasn't as flashy or as, I guess,
Athletic.
multi-tool usable or athletic, I thought he was the best poised to play, especially in a system like that. I thought if you put him, even if the Niners would have taken him at 3, like everyone thought, I thought he would have been, fine in Kyle Shanahan's system also. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see the growth for him throughout these years. He looks like he can be a top 10 quarterback come here the next 2 to 3 years at least. And that roster is not very talented, but Tom Brady did it with, guys they got at Lowe's and, in the parking lot.
It's true.
So Tom Brady's too busy doing his last dance while he's still playing on ESPN Plus.
Was that the Arena Man or something?
Some crap. I don't know what the hell it's called.
They're doing a Michael Jordan special on Tom Brady while he's still playing. I mean, that's what ESPN has gotten to, though. They don't make original content anymore, and they're just floundering for things to talk about since they don't want to talk about real.
They can't talk about LeBron right now. He's injured, okay?
Yeah. He probably wasn't getting enough minutes. That's why he got hurt.
He's 1,000 years
remember,
old.
LeBron wants like every game of the year. LeBron doesn't take nights off. Okay? Just ask LeBron himself.
It's true.
So one last thing to talk about NFL related, and unfortunately the scout isn't here because I'd really like his take on this. The Mike White era is over.
Killed him.
I don't know. He might be dead. I'm not sure. Kind of like Mike White's career. because the Mike White era is over. The Jets announced today that, get ready for it, Joe Flacco is starting this week.
I'm so excited.
Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco.
Yeah. Super Bowl MVP. Joe
Yeah, my
Flacco?
bad. Super Bowl MVP. Put some respect on the man's name, all right?
Yeah.
He led that team through the playoffs, away every time. Beat the Broncos in Mile High. Boom. See you later, Peyton. Pete, Tom Brady in Foxborough. Tom who? And then went out there and beat the most elusive quarterback, Kaepernick. Boom. He carried that team, all right? It wasn't the defense.
The lights went off.
And, yeah, because he was playing lights out.
Yeah. It's the Superdome, man. We all know that place has been battered ever since Katrina. Shocks
True.
nobody.
I'm surprised it hasn't been condemned yet.
I mean, Drew Brees isn't there anymore. Jameis Winston's in the building. They might as well condemn it. Like, oof.
He's not in the building anymore.
He's on the sideline.
What do you got to say about Joe Flacco? Come on, bring it. I can defend him all day.
No, here's my thing. I'm like, this isn't necessarily a Joe Flacco. It's what. Why are they playing Joe Flacco? Like, don't you?
Who else
like,
they
I
got?
know.
You can put Zach Wilson back in?
No. Wilson's still hurt. All right. The Jets aren't winning anything. Not a thing. So why not? Right. You had when White came in relief of Wilson, had the good game. Then he had the start last week. He threw 4 picks. Okay, fine. But
What about Johnson?
why not, while Wilson is out, see what you have in White? What you have one start where he has a bad start, throws 4 picks, and okay, let me bring in Geritol Joe Flacco. What, it's going to turn the season around? Like what's the purpose?
Maybe, I mean, who was that guy for the Texans? Mills?
Davis.
I've already forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, Davis Mills. So, like, you gave Mike White the Davis Mills treatment where he has one big week and then he just goes back to mediocrity. I mean, didn't Mike White come out and say he should have been the first overall pick in the draft after that, like, 400-yard game?
Well, that was
He did.
in response to the Jets locker room chanting his name every time he walked in.
I hope they're chanting his name in front of Wilson.
Yeah.
That was the question that McAfee asked.
Yeah, I've seen that. That would have been
Like-
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, was Zach Wilson in the locker room when everybody was chanting for? No, Davis Webb is not the correct answer, Carl. Davis Webb was a quarterback for the Giants who should have never seen the light of day.
What about your boy Nasbin? That guy was good.
Syracuse pride, Ryan Knapp.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
quarterback.
Yeah.
Did you guys use a second-round pick on him?
No.
We're not going to talk about bad pick history here, okay? We
I don't know
can
what
go-
you're talking about.
I mean, your last first-round pick killed a guy, or killed a lady
Yeah.
and a dog.
Yeah.
No, our last first-round pick doesn't know what a cadence is and keeps getting offside or full start penalties.
Okay, 2 years ago then.
Boom. Get it right.
Was that the same draft where you had that defensive lineman that was taken like 4 rounds too early?
Yeah, and Max Crosby is 100 times better than him.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to challenge Tony Romo because Tony
In what?
Romo. I'm getting to that.
What did Tony Romo do to you?
In a throwing contest, in a
Leave the
spelling
man
contest.
alone.
No. Tony Romo suggested that Tom Brady is the greatest QB sneak quarterback of all time.
That's Matt Stafford.
That would also be the incorrect answer.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it is.
Who's the best quarterback, sneak quarterback?
The best quarterback sneak, right? So we're talking about 3rd and 1, 4th and inches. You just need to move the sticks.
Philip Rivers.
The best quarterback of all time, rest his soul, is Jared Lorenzen.
The guy was 595 pounds. Of course he can. He just fell over.
We're talking NFL quarterbacks here, not.
I'm not talking a fucking lineman that
Okay.
transferred over to quarterback.
Yeah.
And we're also not talking about quarterbacks who needed to get pushed by their running backs. That doesn't count.
Who, Matt Liner?
Matt
Reggie
Liner's
Bush's
definitely
arms are in the air. He was signaling touchdown.
Doesn't make it a touchdown.
Are you mad because Romo had a record 11-9 against your Giants?
No. By the way, there you go. That's all you need to know about Jared Lorenzen right there.
Yeah,
The
at
hefty
Kentucky.
lefty.
That's also not an NFL team.
Hey, yeah.
Matt Stafford is the
Sure.
only quarterback I've ever seen brush his team to the line to spike it, and it's a fake spike QB sneak that worked
Just
for a
leaps
touchdown.
over.
Just leaps over like that. Him and his
There
fat
was,
face.
I mean, Tom Brady is
Yeah.
really good because I remember there was one season where he led the league in rushing touchdowns because he just kept dropping, just falling into the end zone. Didn't lead the entire season. It was like the first 4
The
weeks.
amount of disrespect being put on Jared Lorenzen's name here.
Why?
What's he
Because he
gonna
was
do?
your guys' backup
Guy's
quarterback?
rolling.
Was you some kind of? You have a Giants jersey with his name on it, don't you?
I bet you do.
No, I don't. If I did, I'd wear it on
That's
the
a
show.
goddamn lie. Yes, you do.
He had to think about it. That means he's not.
Yeah. Do you have an entire closet
Trust me,
full of
if I
like
did, I would wear it.
jerseys from Bill Sims all the way down to Jones?
Ooh,
Oh, trust me, I have plenty of Giant jerseys I could wear. I do not have a Jared Lorenzen jersey.
it's a shame.
Pretty sure you have to get that one customized.
Probably.
Do they even make it in your size?
They don't make them under 4. They don't make them under 5X.
Bro, they don't make them in my size. Like they're fucking huge.
Did you guys see that guy play arena
Medium.
football at the end of his career?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Schmedium was
Never
not
seen a
an
man
option.
move like that.
You are not a schmedium.
No, I'm not a Schmedium.
I can't even say what size you are because YouTube will like ban us. So just put
What are
it
you,
in
a
the chat.
Japanese small?
Their sizes are quite ridiculous.
Yeah, you would be sumo size. So
All right. So, Chico, since you are just joining us, me
What
and
up?
Josh are taking a different to our bets this week. Whereas
really?
normally me and Josh ahead of time have mapped out what we're betting and we have our picks lined up and we'll just announce them here as we go. Instead, me and Josh are going to look right now at the lines and pick our games. We're going to do
Whoa.
this live. Just see what flies.
it's
off
always
the
live.
cuff
What are
here.
you talking about? Mine are live. You're just taking
Dang.
my approach.
Well,
So who's
Well-
Old Dominion play this week?
They play Mid Tennessee State, and they are +4.
so you're taking
Yep.
them.
Oh hell yeah!
Okay,
I'd be a fool not to.
sure.
Forget.
I
Let's
guess-
see. I think they're plus. Oh, that's the Q's. I'm taking all the dogs in the in college.
I'm
I'm
laying.
gonna take. I'll take Nevada minus 1.5 against Air Force.
They should win that outright.
I'll lay
They
the.
should.
I will lay the 11 with Purdue against Northwestern.
You're gonna bet on Purdue after all the shit we talked earlier?
Purdue won last week.
Okay.
Or well, I mean, Purdue didn't win last week, but Purdue bounced back spot.
Okay. Smell the bullshit already, but whatever.
Yeah, Old Dominion's +4 against Mid Tennessee State at a +160. So I would take that. It's an easy win, easy money.
Josh, you want to lay your 21 with Bama?
Against Arkansas? Yeah. I'll take the over 58.5 too. Bacon bits are back to being bacon bits. Arkansas hasn't looked good in weeks. They're not going to pull off anything against Alabama. I mean, we already beat a better team than them last week in New Mexico State. So I like 21. This would be, I think, if you were going to take that, what's the first half for Alabama this week? Because this would be a week to probably
good
take
question.
it.
21, it's probably got to be like 13 or 14. Let's see.
Yeah, if it's 13 or 14, take the first half line for sure.
Let's do what we got here.
We got first half.
12 and a half. 12 and a half.
I'll take 12 and a half on the first half. And I'll take the over 58 and a half.
You got to take West Virginia, or no, Wake Forest to beat Clemson.
That's not a bad bet. What's the line on that?
It's +4 from Wake Forest at +165.
Okay.
I like that. I like Syracuse beating NC State +11. What was that look for, Dan?
Syracuse is not the same team on the road. If that was at Cuse, I could get with you. Not on the road.
It's +350. +345. You cannot. Come on.
Here, I'll give you
I'm trying to win you guys a lotto pick here, okay?
I'll give you two late night ones or later night that
You guys
I like.
are trying to retire, no?
Oregon's getting 3 against Utah.
Take that.
I'll take Oregon.
Oh yeah,
Plus
that's easy.
135 on the money if you want to go that route. And Chico, this one's just for you. I'll take Oregon State plus the 3 against ASU.
That's rude.
How dare you? Where's Notre Dame?
Plus 1.
Oh yeah, they suck.
They have a bye this week?
I think they're laying 17 this week.
Holy buckets! They're saying Ole Miss is going to win by 37.
They're going to cover that easy. That's an easy.
Against
cover.
Vanderbilt.
Oh, I thought they were playing Notre Dame. Never mind. Get your popcorn out.
Woo!
Uh,
Well, since I'm wearing the jersey, we might as well take a look. And I do like this. Virginia Tech against Miami. Miami's favored? No, it's in Miami. Hell no. I'm taking Virginia Tech, baby. Lock it up.
Cool.
all right.
You're
Do
lucky
either
I had
of you
a
have
downer
any
for a
more
guy. I got
knowledge or can we
sugar
do
rush.
NFL?
No, I'm good. Let's
Done.
go.
You guys take all these picks. You put $100 down. You're walking away nice and pretty. You could buy a pretty sweet pre-owned motorcycle.
Not a Vespa, full on.
Or a snowmobile for you, Josh.
Appreciate that. We've had snow the last 2 days, so
You can pull the kid on the back, put a little helmet on him.
Josh, I
can do that.
continue. I continue to tell you this. You get that white shit out of there within a week and a half.
I'll just tell you it's cocaine, man. You'll be fine.
Don't want to see it.
Oh, you're going to be up there, right? That's right.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Gross.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
So
it's
let's-
melted already, so you're fine. But
All right.
it's definitely
We had
NFL
snow over on
picks.
the mountain.
no one cares about you and your desert.
I do, because there's no snow by me. It's all over yonder. It was
Anyways,
79 today. You know that?
would be a lot cooler if it was 69.
I'm
It
gonna
is.
lay the 2 with. I'm gonna lay the 2 with Green Bay over your Vikings, Josh.
Thank you.
Me too.
Me 3.
I'll take the 11 with the Lions against the Browns.
Okay.
I will.
I have 11 and a half. You have 11?
I have 11.
Okay.
I'll lay the point with the Bengals over the Raiders.
Okay.
Terrible pick. Terrible. Just burn your money right now. I would.
I'll take. I know Kyler is trending to come back, but I'll take the 2.5 with Seattle against Arizona.
That's I'm taking that one too.
And lastly, I will take on Monday night the 11 with the Giants against Mr. Brady.
You're saying the Giants are going to cover?
They will cover.
Saquon Barkley back?
He might be back, yes.
You getting Kenny Galladay back?
Galladay is not on the report, but it's got nothing to do with who is or isn't playing. They played Brady tough. Look at the game last year that they played with Brady. So they almost won
Look
that
at the
game.
Super Bowl in 07.
That was last year, and that was 14 years ago. Stop living in the past, man.
So
I like the
I'm
Cowboys
sorry.
plus 2.5
I'm sorry.
against the
Did the
Chiefs.
Bucs win last week?
Oh,
I'm sorry. Did the Giants have a winning season ever?
2007.
2007.
I was saying, at one point, yes.
14 years ago. All right.
You just
I was
asked,
saying, have the
did
Vikings-
they? Yeah, of course they have had winning
I'm
seasons.
not saying the Vikings are going to win, so you can't throw that in my face. That doesn't hurt me.
I didn't
Kirk
say they were going
Cousins
to win.
is
I
the
said they would
GOAT.
cover. Cover.
You're an idiot if you think the
Cover.
Vikings are going to cover. No, it's 2. They're going to lose by a field goal at least.
No.
Green Bay covers.
I already said Green Bay was cover. I said the Giants would cover. I never said anything about the Giants winning.
Oh, okay.
It's true.
All right.
You fool.
Then I-
What? I'm taking the Cowboys to win plus 2.5.
Okay.
Beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead.
All right.
I also like the
Hurt going
Pats
to the
minus 7 over the ATL. They'll win easily.
I am
But I'm taking the Raiders to beat the Bengals.
Let me say something real quick about the Falcon pick. The Falcons got destroyed last week by the Cowboys, whereas the Patriots destroyed the Browns. The tricky spot. Tricky spot.
Not when you're Bill Belichick. It's called a W.
It's a true story. Kyle Pitts.
But you guys wouldn't know anything about that.
You know, what are those? I got one last week. Felt pretty good.
We didn't. We got embarrassed.
Yeah, what happened? You guys okay?
It's a lot. It's been a rough month.
They're focused on John. They're focused on John Gruden suing the NFL.
Hey,
He's not
There's-
suing Mark Davis's bowl cut though, so it's fine.
first off, don't. That's a good haircut. Okay.
Yeah,
Dan almost has it right now. You
hold
know.
on. It's a good haircut. All right, how about how do I want to do this here?
You make me get the Edgar haircut?
Yeah, if you guys don't make the playoffs, you got to get the Edgar.
Fucking Edgar.
Yeah.
By the way,
Then we'll see how great of a haircut it is.
why do you keep letting Chris Angel hang around these Raider games? Maybe that's why you keep losing.
I don't. I would have Sheen Lim do it if I was there. Have you seen that guy do card tricks? It's amazing.
That dude's lit. He is awesome.
It's ridiculous. I don't think he's human. He's got to be a robot.
He's Asian. Probably is a
Yes.
robot. He's got all
And then
kinds of-
boom, next thing you know, my shorts are off.
Bring a Piff the Magic Dragon too.
That guy is awesome, and he got a little dog.
Yeah, like a little chihuahua looking thing. It's dope. Okay, I'm going to do my picks a little bit differently this week. I'm going to go straight money lines, and I'm going to give you every single game, and I want to see how many I get right.
See,
I felt like I lost you guys there for a second, or we all
yeah,
got
me too.
lost for a
Remember,
second.
it was all black. There he is.
Hey! Okay, cool.
Yeah, you know.
As soon as I say I'm going to do something different, the internet decides to take shit. All right, cool. So let's see here. I'm taking New England against Atlanta. Take Cleveland over Detroit. San Francisco or Jacksonville. San Francisco. I'll take Buffalo over Indy. I'll take Miami over the Jets and Joe Flacco.
Flacco gonna win the game.
I am going to take Cam Newton replacing his replacement's replacement over the Washington football team. I am going to take, you know what? I'm going to take Chicago over Baltimore. Take New Orleans over Philly. Tennessee over Houston's easy. Green Bay over Minnesota, easy. I am going to go with Chico, and I'm going to take Vegas over Cincinnati because that just seems like a Cincinnati thing to do.
Burn your money now, Dan. You fool.
You fell for one of the classic blunders, Dan.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to take this newly invigorated Kansas City over Dallas.
I would.
And, yeah, well, this is why it's a risk. That's why it's called gambling, sir. And then I will take a Justin Herbert-led offense over Mason Rudolph any day. I'll take Tampa Bay over the Giants because the Giants are trash. Who does Seattle play this week?
The Cards.
If Kyler Murray's
Seattle.
back, take the Cards.
Kyler Murray's not going to make it out of the first half. He's going to
If
get
he doesn't-
crushed.
If Kyler Murray starts the game, the Cardinals win. If Kyler Murray does not start the game, I take the Seahawks.
I don't know what you're talking about, but you sound insane, sir.
It's fine. I said I'm switching it up. So that's what I got for this week. So I'll just do a big money line parlay and keep it at that.
All right, Chico, you got anything else?
I'm going to do a 10-teamer. And
Oh my
hopefully that
God.
hits. All the dogs, 10 teams, $100, walking away with $1 million.
It's somebody's going to get a crazy big bet this weekend. Might as well be you, right?
Right?
All right.
Oh,
On that note,
nope. Before we leave, we got to plug the new show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to let you do that.
Oh, don't let me do it. I'm god awful at that.
Oh God! All right, fine.
I don't even know what I don't even know the name of the new show yet.
We vote. Oh my god. Okay,
Did we?
That's because you don't pay attention, Chico.
I'm in and out, okay?
it's true. He's a truck driver, man.
All right. So,
I'm going to start just doing it from
So-
the fucking bed of my truck.
Anyways, continue, please, Dan. Sorry, Dad. We're done.
thank you. If you want a change from the sports show and you would prefer listening to us talk about movies or television, then that's what we're going to do starting Friday. Not here on YouTube. We will be on Twitch. We'll put the link up. We're going to have a show called Nerdiversity, in which we're going to talk about movies and TV shows and all that stuff. The first episode, we're going to react to. Sure. No. We're going to react to the Spider-Man trailer that was just released yesterday. Talk about all the nuances and things that were in there. And the first episode will be focused on the Cape Crusader himself, Batman. We'll talk about our favorite Batmans, best Batman movie. We'll talk about the new movies and things that we'd like to see, in the future and whatnot. So, us, Batman, Friday. Twitch.
Hell yeah.
And this is all thanks to Dan wanting to make fun of me about The Sopranos. So,
It's true.
you're welcome, guys. We got a whole new show just because he wanted to talk shit.
Now, it's a
I
new
didn't
show,
watch
so
The
Chico
Sopranos
will
either,
be
so who
there.
cares?
But I do want to talk Batman, so it's fine.
Forget about
It's actually a new show, so Chico can actually be there at the start of it.
True.
Which show?
Nerdiversity. Hawkeye.
Y-
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That looks
Both
good.
things. He's got a bow and arrow. None of it makes sense. It's fine.
But doesn't
I
it?
was gonna say you hating on Hawkeye still just.
I hate
Let
the
me go
green
get my
arrow
Moon
too.
Knight
All right.
but,
But
clips for you.
Ooh, Moon Knight. Hell yeah.
I also got
Yeah,
Cloak and
but
Dagger.
anyway, so that's it for this show this week. Like I said, new show Twitch Friday night. We'll be back here again for this show next week. So until
I will
then,
definitely try and be back earlier next time.
It's okay. We
Yeah.
forgive you.
The world
Hey,
needs
you're a
more of me
stat.
anyway, so that's why.
It's true.
all right, for the crew, we'll see you next week. Adios.